the previous video we had just studied what is innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Here we will talk about physical barriers of innate immunity in detail. As physical barriers are first line of defense, they include skin, mucous membranes of respiratory, digestive and reproductive systems. Among all first to be invaded and crossed by pathogens is skin. The skin provides an almost impenetrable biological barrier, protecting the internal environment. It protects body against pathogens and excessive water loss. It is also involved in providing insulation, temperature regulation and sensation. Skin consists of two main layers, namely the epidermis and dermis. The first layer is epidermis, which is composed of multiple layers of tightly packed cells, which few pathogens can penetrate on their own. The cells like epidermal dendritic cells phagocytize or engulf pathogens, hence inhibiting pathogens to pass through skin. The dermis is lying beneath the epidermis. It contains proteins fibers called collagen. That gives the skin strength and pliability to resist abrasions that could introduce microorganisms. Now talking about the chemical components of skin's defense. As along with physical structures, some chemicals are also involved in working with these barriers. Respiration. It contains salts and enzymes and is secreted by skin sweat glands. Respiration providing a saline environment so few microbes can live and sustain. Similarly, enzymes like lysozymes in the sweat are a type of enzymes that can destroy cell walls of bacteria. The sebum is secreted by skin's sebaceous glands. The oils help keep the skin pliable and less likely to break or tear. It also lowers the pH of the skin to a more acidic level, inhibiting growth of many types of bacteria. How the stomach and digestive tract play a role in preventing entry of pathogens to body. All day we ingest unavoidably all kinds of bacteria and viruses through the mouth, nose, and food we eat. These germs cannot survive in the stomach because of acidic environment. Proper level of HCl in the stomach is a line of defense against bacterial and viral infections. Cilia and mucus in the respiratory tract. As we inhale air all the day and night without knowing about germs in the air, its filtering is important for several reasons. Firstly, to filter out dangerous particles such as bacteria, viruses, dust, and pollens that could otherwise enter into the lungs, causing damage. The cilia and a mucous membrane line the inside of the nose to trap particles before they enter the body. Secondly, they also warm each breath to prevent cold air from damaging sensitive lungs tissues. Also, they add moisture to each breath to prevent airways and lungs from becoming dry and damaged. Just like mucus in upper respiratory tract, in the bronchi there is also a mucous membrane preventing microbes entry. In normal lungs, the oxygen from the air is drawn through the nose and mouth, travels down to the trachea into the right and left bronchus and bronchioles, and then finally to millions of alveoli or the air sacs. From alveoli, oxygen is absorbed into bloodstream and is carried to all parts of the body. For to filter out dust particles and pathogens, the airways also produce a thin coat of mucus that catches dust and bacteria that we breathe in daily. This mucus is swept up towards the windpipe by tiny beating hairs and called cilia. Now let's discuss about chemical components, immune cells and complement system, which is considered as second line of defense. Once pathogens are able to neutralize the response from first line of defense, like skin and mucous membranes, and penetrate inside the body, they are encountered by second line of defense. The second line of defense is a non-specific defense mechanism, as it handles a variety of microbes. It includes cells of innate immunity and the complement system. Cells of innate immunity include macrophages, neutrophils, natural killer cells, etc. Now, what are these cells of innate immunity which play a role in immune system? Let's discuss in detail. Neutrophils. The neutrophils are most abundant immune cells. They kills and eats pathogens and are involved in phagocytosis, hence the name phagocytes. We can say that they are eating cells. Neutrophils contains various enzymes in their granules that kill and digest pathogens. They are found in blood and are highly mobile. They are usually first cells to respond to infections. Eosinophils. The eosinophils contain two lobed nucleuses. They have granules containing enzymes. They are about 1–3% of WBCs. Eosinophils fight multicellular parasites and some bacteria. Basophils are least common of all WBCs. They play important role in fighting parasitic infections, also have role in blood clotting. Their granules contain heparins. Basophils are also involved in various allergic reactions. The mast cells reside in connective tissue and mucous membranes such as lining of our respiratory and gastrointestinal system. They have a role in wound healing and microbial defense. Their granules contain histamine and heparin. The mast cells also link innate and adaptive immune system to fight against pathogens. Monocytes and macrophages. Monocytes circulate in blood, and as they enter to tissues they become macrophages. Macrophage is a Greek word meaning large eaters as involved in phagocytosis. These phagocytic cells migrate from blood to tissue spaces for invading pathogens. Dendrite meaning branches. Dendritic cells are present in tissues that are in contact with external environment, skin, inner lining of nose, lungs, stomach, and intestines. They are a type of antigen-presenting cells. They present pathogens to lymphocytes, which lead to attack on these pathogens by lymphocytes and antibodies. The dendritic cells are also called Langerhans cells after their discovery by a scientist Langerhans. They secrete interferons which play an important role in body's defense. The natural killers do not attack microbes, rather they kill our own defense cell which are infected like tumor cells and virally infected cells. Now talking about complement system, which is also a part of chemical barrier of innate immunity. What is complement system? It is the part of innate immune system that enhances or complements antibodies and immune cells to wipe out pathogens and damaged cells of its own. Hence immune clearance, as it complements the action of antibodies and other cells in destroying pathogens, hence called complement system. In complement system, a set of proteins, called complement proteins, are involved in the process. They are present in many species including plants, fishes, and invertebrates. Whenever a pathogen enters the body, it is recognized by antibodies present in our blood. The binding of antibodies to pathogens is the most important factor for the activation of complement system. After it is activated, a cascade of different enzymes acts on the surface of the microbe to kill it. The complement system has many mechanisms of action. The classical pathway, alternative pathway, and mannan-binding lectin pathway. We will talk about the complement system in our next video in detail. What is adaptive immunity? The adaptive immunity is considered as third line of defense. It is not inborn immunity but is acquired during one's own life. The adaptive immunity develops in response to a disease caused by the infection of microbes or vaccines. The antibodies produced by protective lymphocytes not only inactivate the antigens and relieves from an infectious disease, but also provide immunity against further attacks. Some antibody-producing cells persist as memory cells for a long period and produce antibodies immediately after second infection to counter it. The adaptive immunity gives concept of vaccination. Adaptive immunity includes two ways to eliminate pathogens: the humoral immunity and the cellular immunity. The humoral immunity is antibodies-mediated. They control extracellular pathogens. In humoral immunity, major role is played by B cells, whereas the cellular immunity, on the other hand, is cells-mediated. They control intracellular pathogens, and here T cells play a major role.